time has come, we've had some fun.
It's time for the Ship's Gonna Happen podcast. Here with a load of laughs, info, and fun, it's Tony B, Dave B, and Timmy D.
Before I go alone. Don't ask me this and one more song. It ain't too costly, no, I ain't too cheap, so just relax. I'm on my knees.
Good Saturday morning. Welcome to the Ship's Gonna Happen podcast. Episode number 89, David B. We're at 89. You remember 1989?
I do. It's right after high school. That was 1 year after high school for me. So yeah.
Good times.
1989. The hair, the fashion was awesome. The hair was awesome. I hope there's no photo evidence of those years. I'm sure there is somewhere.
I'm going to ask Tracy for a picture of you from
goodness.
1989.
I think my hair weighed more than I did back then.
All right. My name is Tony B. Alongside me, you heard him. It's David B. Timmy D is out on his last deer run, David.
Timmy D's off again today.
He is off.
Shocking.
Yeah, it is shocking. Maybe we'll get a surprise call in.
That would be
we
good.
don't know. But we do have David M. On the line today. He is a part of the railroad industry, and we're going to talk to him about the strike. Follow up on that. Also, topic number 2 will be we'll look at the forecast for trucking in 2023. The views of Ship's Gonna Happen are purely news driven and do not express the views of any transportation provider or any business entity that uses a transportation provider. David, why do we do it?
Transportainment.
Boom. You can catch us on YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, Google Podcast, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and our home website, ShipsGonnaHappen.com. All you got to do is put our name in that search engine, and you will find us. David B., good morning.
Good Saturday morning to you, Tony, producer Tony. It's a nice kind of gray, dreary Saturday morning. I like these kind of mornings. It was a nice drive coming over. I didn't have the sun smacking me in the face as I came through Indy this morning, and it's just a nice late fall Saturday morning, right just before a few weeks before Christmas. So you got to get all your Christmas shopping done if you haven't done that already. This week's episode, along with all of our other episodes, are brought to you by The Great Divide, 743 East New York Street, downtown Indianapolis. Great place to go after a Ship's Gonna Happen week. Great place to go to kind of unwind, get you a good meal, hear some good music, get some good beverages, chat it up with the locals. Awesome place. I was fortunate to be in there late yesterday afternoon. Sean was working. Sean was on fire as always. He's just a bundle of energy. Great to see everybody. Stop by the Great Divide, 743 East New York Street, downtown Indianapolis. Tell them that the Ship's Gonna Happen podcast sent you. We've got our ugly sweater party next Friday from 4 to 7. Stop by with your ugly sweater. Join in on the competition, have a good time. Prizes for a bunch of prizes all lined up. So it'll be a great time. Looking forward to it. Tony B., I can't wait to get today's show going. Today ought to be a good one.
I'm excited about it. David M., are you on?
I am.
All right, man. How are you doing?
Oh, not too bad. How about you guys?
Doing well. Thanks for coming on this morning, David. Give us a little bit of background on how you got involved in the railroad and how many years you've been in on the railroad and what your how many different jobs have you done and what's your current job and how are things going?
Well, I started with the railroad back in 2003.
Okay.
I have always been a locomotive guy. For those that don't know, the railroad is divided up into basically union-specific jobs. It was set up that way by the U.S. government under the Federal Railway Labor Act laws. That's because the government felt that one particular union shouldn't have too much power over the entire railroad industry. So the government actually split us up into 17 or 18 different unions. And so I'm a locomotive machinist. Always been with Freight Railroad, CSX. But that's one of those, I don't know. I just, as a young guy, I always had a fascination with trains.
Sure.
Thought it'd be a cool job.
Yep.
Saw they had an ad in the paper, and I just applied and went from there.
So
So,
so you're a mechanic then? Is that the best way to define it then, David?
yep,
Okay, and
that
so
would be the best way to define it. I'm a locomotive mechanic.
so you work out of in the Indy area or somewhere around Indianapolis?
Yeah, the Avon
Okay, okay. So
yard there.
awesome. And you guys are I mean, so Tony and I aren't extremely familiar with the railroad industry. So I imagine that you just probably every day kind of, it's kind of Groundhog Day. Well, not necessarily Groundhog Day for you, but every day you just kind of do work on just the engine part, or do you work on like different cars and stuff like that?
I do not work on the cars.
Okay.
That's Carmen's job.
Okay.
But yeah, every day they bring the trains into the Avon yard,
Mm-hmm.
and they separate the locomotives from the cars after they bring them inbound, and they bring them to us where we do daily inspections, servicing, we fuel them,
Mm-hmm.
and then get them ready to go back on the outbound trains.
So, dumb question. When you say you fuel them, are they fueled with, I picture in my head a coal-fired engine. I'm assuming that's not how that goes anymore, or how are they fueled?
Yeah, no, they're all diesel fuel.
Oh, okay, okay. And so, how many gallons of diesel fuel would a train engine hold?
Typical road engines now hold about 5,000 gallons.
Jeez.
Dang.
Wow.
I wouldn't have never have known that.
Yeah, I wouldn't have either.
Where do they put that at? Where's that stored at? I mean, you don't see, is it on a tanker that you're pulling, or where does it go?
No, there's a large belly tank on the belly side of every locomotive that holds that fuel.
Wow.
Can I borrow that phrasing, large belly tank? Because I think I have one of those.
Sure.
Yeah. Awesome. So, David, so you've been in it since 2003. Is that correct? So almost 20 years in the railroad. How have you seen the industry, the workforce, and how have you seen all of that change? And I hope it's changed for the better, but the stories we're kind of reading on it, it sounds like it may not be changing for the better.
Well, let's put it this way. When I started with the railroad, we actually had a shop facility in Avon, and I was employee number 121 at the locomotive shop.
Mm-hmm.
Currently now we have 15 active employees total, and there is no longer an active locomotive shop. We don't have enough employees to staff it. The building is still there. All the equipment is still there, but it doesn't operate anymore.
Mm-hmm. So you don't have enough employees to staff it, not necessarily due to being short staffed. I mean, somebody else is telling you can only have X amount of employees. Then is that right?
That is correct.
Wow. And so I imagine morale is not probably very high. And we're not trying to bring anything down. We're just trying to get a perspective on how things work in the railroad industry.
Oh yeah, no, these were all staffing cuts brought upon by the infamous precision scheduled railroading plans that were brought out in a man named Hunter Harrison brought that plan to CSX in 2017.
Well, explain that. What is that? Because like in the trucking world where I come from, there's planning routes and things like that. What does that mean in the rail industry?
Well, we always had planning and routes, but we adopted this new thing where basically we no longer service the customer. We force the customer to adapt to us, because a lot of our customers are moving such quantities of freight that trucking is not a true option for them.
Mm-hmm.
And now we force them to adapt to us. Used to, if the customer wanted their delivery done at noon on Friday, we did their delivery at noon on Friday.
Right.
And now we tell the customer that, well, we can do your delivery at 3 a.m. on Wednesday, and that's the only time we can do it. So if you can't do it then too bad for you.
Wow. David, that's kind of happened in our world, right?
It has
a little bit, not probably a little more rougher in the rail world because it needs to be, but it's happened.
It definitely has. And the company the corporation that I work for, David, is use it. They have a rail spur, and I see that happen all the time. I'll hear the owner of our company going, "Somebody get with the railroad and get this delivered at noon on, like you said, noon on Friday," and they'll get with the railroad. They're like, "Nah, 2 a.m. on Sunday, but not noon on Friday." And you do
Yep.
have to kind of adapt to that, which is, you know, in a way, they kind of got you hook, line, and sinker where they're like, this is what it is, too bad. Um, are you in your head, David? Are you extremely short staffed or just kind of short staffed or?
Well, if you had asked me 10 years ago if I would ever be the single solitary employee at the Avon Service Center, I would have said you were crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You can't even safely move that equipment by yourself.
Wow.
And now, twice in the last 2 weeks, I have had to force a supervisor to come down and help me move equipment because there was nobody else there to help me move equipment.
Wow.
We are so short staffed, it's not even funny.
Do you see this changing at all anytime soon? Were they going to add some employees, or this is what it is and deal with it?
They don't even have any jobs advertised.
Mm-hmm.
So they've
And it's one of those,
eliminated them.
it takes the railroad 6 months or so to even get somebody hired.
Mm-hmm.
So David,
So
David, a part of your David M, a part of your the union negotiations was that was bringing some of those jobs back a part of it, or what? We know about the sick days, and hey, we don't want to we don't know what your world is, but was that part of the negotiations, or did they not include that?
well, honestly, the unions say they can't do that, and the companies say they can't do that. So that was part of the push for the sick day program. Because, like, when I
Gotcha.
originally hired in, if you needed to go to the doctor or what have you, and it interfered with work schedule, you just told them, hey, gotta go to the doctor. And it was no big deal.
Right.
Nobody cared. There were enough of us floating around that one person plus or minus was not going to make or break the entire day. And now, like I said, we've gotten to the point I literally was the only one on property.
So you
So
can't
if
take,
I had had to
yeah.
go to the doctor, they would have had an absolute conniption fit
Wow.
and threatened my employment over it.
Mm-hmm. Darn.
So how does
And
that?
that was what the whole push for the sick day thing is. That's many, many, many others are in the same position on a daily basis all across the entire rail system.
Yeah. So David, that's a good point. So tell us how it was before, how that worked before the strike, and how that works now,
Well, it's
as far as sick days.
we're still in the same boat.
Okay.
Mm.
Nothing actually changed. That's why we were willing to go on strike as employees. Um, I've been through 6 different contract negotiations now in
Mm.
my time with the company. This has been the closest the employees were actually ever willing to go on strike. Um, None of the previous, yes, we had voted down contracts and continued negotiations and such in all of our prior contract terms, but like normally, most times the contract would, even if the contract failed, you would barely only get 50% of the workforce that actually was in support of a strike. This time, our first contract, when it came up for a vote, 97% of us voted in the the contract ratification thing,
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
and 95% of us voted no for the contract, and 97% of us voted yes to strike.
Wow. How ticked off were you when the government steps in and says, "Nah, you're not. You're going to go back to work."
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's pretty much the ultimate slap in the face that
Sure.
we don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I understand this would have been bad for the economy, but essentially the company walked away from negotiations with the union way back in the middle of the summer.
Yeah, I remember that.
And they pretty much tossed their hands up and said, we're done.
Mm-hmm.
And now essentially the government just gave the company exactly what they wanted.
Right. And
Now
all
there is no reason for the company to continue to negotiate with anybody.
right. And then the whole time they're posting record profits.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm not trying to get you any, more upset about it or whatever. I mean, these are things that we talk about on the podcast. So, we talk about
Oh,
them and just,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
just kind
I
of want
mean,
to definitely get your perspective on how things are going. So on a volume tonnage, I don't know if you're able to pay attention to any of that at all, David. I mean, do you see tonnage levels since 2003 are just significantly higher than what they were?
uh, tonnage levels really are not. I wouldn't say they probably are significantly different
Okay.
than what they were since 2003 as far as actual tonnage levels.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, we're still coping with similar tonnage levels with, a tenth of the people that we used to have.
Sure.
So when's the next contract up then?
This contract they just shoved down our throats actually expires in 2024.
Mm.
So what's it like? So like David and I said, we don't know a whole lot about the rail industry, but we do know a little bit. And we know that CSX is a very, very, very profitable and large railroad. That's from the Canadian, right? Canadian? Is it
No,
it's not
they're
a
actually
Canadian?
headquartered in Florida.
Okay, so that
Would it be
okay.
UP? Is the UP Canadian then? Or
I can't remember which one is
I'm not
from
sure.
the rail.
No, you have four major U.S. railroads. You
Yeah.
have Norfolk Southern and CSX
Mm-hmm.
that do our side of the Mississippi,
Okay.
and then you have Burlington Northern Santa Fe and UP, which
Okay.
do the other side of the Mississippi. And now, just here recently, within about a year and a half or so, the deal was approved. You have Canadian Pacific and Kansas City Southern joined forces. They merged.
Wow.
So you have the first international, what they call Class One railroad. They
So
serve from Canada all the way through down to Mexico.
so you have to, like, the old trucking industry used to be regulated where you had to, like, if you were going to go, if you like, it was like, if you had the whole East Coast was, they had to buy rights to the states, and then they deregulated it so we could go across state lines. But it sounds like you guys still might be in that a little bit. You got to hand it off to the West Coast side, or can you go straight all the way from Indianapolis to California?
No, yeah, that's that territory is government regulated,
Okay.
and it's also now basically it's all about track rights and
Okay.
who owns the track.
I did not
And
know that.
we do operate trains that run from coast to coast, but yes, it's split amongst the railroads.
So
No one railroad owns rights to go all the way from East Coast to West Coast.
no one does?
No one does.
Okay, so California could go on strike and you just all your stuff stuck in Arizona, New Mexico, right? Or wherever that
Well,
rail is
um,
ends at.
the way the railroads actually work is like we were set up under a National Railway Labor Act,
Right.
and essentially negotiations are done nationally.
Okay.
So no, you couldn't get a Class One railroad trike in just California.
Okay.
So, are you able at all, David, to while these negotiations were going on, are you able at all to find out what the other labor unions or what their mindset is? Also, is there that communication between labor unions?
Well, the labor unions actually negotiated what they called a coalition,
Mm-hmm.
and we had the union coalition, and then you had the National Carrier Coalition, which were all of the carriers joined together. And now, like, I talk to my coworkers because I see the transportation guys who bring us the engines in and out every day, and we talk to the carmen because they're in the same yard that we work in and day out. But as far as actual like union reps, no, I only have contact with my specific union rep.
So, are you able to? Is a is it still a train conductor? The gentleman that runs the train, is that a conduct? Is that terminology still a conductor?
Well, you have the guy who actually controls the lead locomotive is an engineer.
Oh,
The conductor is the guy who is actually in charge of the train. He's the one who throws the switches
Mm.
and gets the train lined in and lined out of where it's supposed to go.
mhm. So are you able to talk to, or have you been able to, were you able to talk to any of the engineers and get their perspective on how things should go or whatever?
Oh, they're no happier than we are.
Right.
That actually, we have one major advantage. My point of employment never changes day to day to day. And so, under all the safety rules and everything else, I work a standard 5 on 2 off schedule.
Okay.
It Nobody has weekends off where I work.
Right.
Nobody does.
Right.
There are 0 Saturday, Sunday jobs where I work.
Mm-hmm.
We are a 24/7 facility, and they never close. They don't even close on Christmas Day.
Right.
Now, transportation, however, does not. They have what they call a home base, but then they get on a train, and their train, under the federal hours of service rules, they go for 10 hours, and uh, so they can drive their train 10 to 12 hours away.
Right.
And they tried for a little while, a short term, having them meet another crew halfway and then turn around and coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And their scheduling never worked. It never worked out. So now they go 10 to 12 hours away, and that's where they stop.
Mm-hmm.
And they literally, whenever they're out of time, they'll stop the train and tie it down.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, unfortunately, I'm sure you guys have probably been caught at a rail crossing before.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, that's one of those. The railroad just doesn't care.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's a few towns here in Indiana where they just run tracks right down the middle of town.
Mm-hmm.
I think Elwood, Muncie.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Town here's got one.
Yeah, but I mean, like the
Yep.
middle of the street.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
I think.
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong, David, but I think Elwood and Muncie have got trains that, like the middle of the road, just
Yeah.
right down the middle of the street.
Oh,
You know.
Indianapolis has got a few.
I thought so. Yeah, because
Oh,
Stoutfield, right? I mean, that's
Yep.
going through Industrial Park, but I mean, it's right there by. I can remember that one. That's a seemed like at one point in time it was probably pretty busy.
so David,
Yep.
let's
There.
go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say there are a few road crossings on the east side of Indianapolis that the tracks go right across major roads, and
Hmm. So let's change up our railroad topics just a little bit. Since you've been a big kind of nerd about railroads your entire life, or trains your entire life, have you had the opportunity to take a decent train ride anywhere, and have you had any chance to do anything like that?
I have not.
Okay.
Um, that's
Is
one of those I learned after working there that is not a mode of transportation I am interested in partaking in. So
okay. Enough said there. All right.
Well, the videos you see of it of people taking like the Amtrak all the way out to
Mhm.
out west. I mean, in the sleep in cabins. That's what you're talking about, right? Or
Yeah.
yeah. Would you have that opportunity, David M, or do they?
yeah, I mean, I could go on a train, but I'm going to pay just like anybody else does.
Oh, okay.
Right. Right.
And it's one of those. Um, you guys probably don't know, but Amtrak actually owns no track.
Okay.
They operate solely on the freight railroad's tracks.
So they
This
pay.
was part of an agreement between the government and the freight railroads to allow the freight railroads to divest passenger business,
Mhm.
because the freight railroads all complained that the passenger business was not profitable and they wanted rid of it.
Mhm.
So the government agreed to take it on in the form of Amtrak, but the freight railroads had to allow Amtrak track rights.
Okay.
Oh,
I didn't know that. Wow, I'm learning a lot this morning.
yeah, definitely.
And it works okay for the most part, but it depends on the track layout where you're actually going. Like for instance, my sister-in-law tried to take Amtrak from Indianapolis to Chicago uh, because she didn't have a vehicle she felt was worthy of driving in Chicago. that was
You mean
supposed to
like an
be
armored
roughly
truck?
a 2-hour train ride. She actually ended up stuck behind a broke down freight train because it's just a single track between Indianapolis and Chicago. Her 2-hour train ride turned into a 9.5-hour train ride.
Whoa.
And that's the problem with trains. There's no getting off and going to McDonald's because you're hungry.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no exits.
Yep. So they sat on their Amtrak train for 9.5 hours, hungry and thirsty and all kinds of upset, while they waited on the freight train to get repaired
Mm,
and get out of the way. So
interesting.
after that particular experience, I quickly learned that, yep, that happens all the time, and that's not anything that I'm interested in partaking in.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. Wow. So when you are traveling and you're like you and your family, or if you're in a car or whatever, are you kind of nerding out and looking at different trains as you're traveling through the United States and kind of like, oh, that's a blah 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 engine or something something.
Occasionally I get asked by the rest of the family, but no, after working there for as long as I have now, it
Yeah,
no
you
longer
just
has
don't.
the same appeal as what it used to.
I get you. I get you.
It's just like, there's work.
Right. Right. Yeah. You want to get away from it. You don't want to pay attention to it
Yep.
anymore. I get it. Okay.
So do you so back to the labor side of it. So David, do you, so you explained how kind of like you're the only one there, right? What about
Mhm.
the rest of the your industry in those other positions? Is it staffed low like that? I would imagine it would be, but
Oh yeah, yeah. It's unilaterally that way.
so what happens if a
Uh,
train conductor's sick then and can't come to work and there's no one there to step in, or do they find somebody? Well, how do they do that?
well, okay, like when I first hired in, trains were, um, we called it a pull, was a bid job. The train that ran from Indianapolis or Avon to Cincinnati was a bid job, and it was the same couple of guys that ran that train. You know, they would run it from Avon to Cincinnati and then run it back from Cincinnati to Avon. So you had two sets of crews basically that were operating opposite of each other. And now that is no longer a bid job. Now, when it's your turn, you you get a call that says, "Okay, we need a train crew," and you just have to report to work. So those guys used to have schedules not quite like ours, but similar, and they took that all away from them.
It's kind of like they just slapped down the worker and they said, "Yeah, we're doing it this way, whether you like it or not."
Exactly, and that's it. That's what they told us. They said you either adapt or leave.
Wow. I mean, it's got to be hard
And
for your industry to train people, right? There's a lot of safety and
oh, it's a nightmare to train people, and it's one of those like Avon actually hired 40 some conductors back in the middle of the fall, and we have 7 of them stayed.
Dang.
Um, and it's one of those, they won't talk about this publicly, but the railroad industry is facing a crisis that they don't want to talk about, and it's a lower level employee crisis. They are having people leave in droves. You know, everybody that's eligible for retirement is beating feet out the door.
Right.
you get those
And
sick
they
days.
actually they hired a whole lot of us around the same time that I hired in
Mhm.
for the exact same reason. They knew they were getting ready to have a massive or outflow of guys who had been there for 30 years and were going to leave.
So what's kept you there? Why have you stayed there? It seems like you're very knowledgeable. Why have you decided to stay where you're at? I mean, it seems like, from the outside, David and I would say, man, that's a great job.
Mhm.
It's one of those, it's not perfect, but we actually, as railroaders who work for Class 1 railroads, we don't pay into Social Security. We pay into railroad retirement.
Oh, I didn't know that. Did you know
And
that?
I
they
did not.
take a bigger portion of our paycheck than what Social Security does. But in return, we get a much bigger payout than what Social Security does.
Mhm.
And it's railroad retirement is what keeps almost everybody there.
I got you. Wow, I did not know that. So, Man, I didn't know that. I thought everybody paid Social Security, but it would make sense. I mean, they got to keep the railroad operating, right? So you have to have a draw to keep people there.
Yep.
Wow.
Is that in addition to a pension, David, or is there a
Well,
railroad pension?
it's separated into two separate tiers. We have Railroad Retirement Tier 1,
Mm-hmm.
which is the equivalent of Social Security.
Okay.
And then we have Railroad Retirement Tier 2, which is the equivalent of what they call a private pension program.
I see.
And that's why, like I said, they take more out of our check than they take out of a Social Security check.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, it equates into a better retirement for us.
What about state income tax?
It depends on what state you live in. Some states tax railroad retirement, some states don't.
Okay. What does Indiana do?
Indiana taxes it.
Of course they do. Yeah.
Man, that's amazing. I didn't
So
know that.
your tier one, and not to keep on this, David, but your tier one retirement, is that a lump sum payout since it's going into, or is that just
No,
kind of? Go ahead. Sorry.
it works just like Social Security. It's
Okay.
all the government controls it all, and the
Oh.
government makes the payouts. They decide what kind of raise we get, if any.
Oh.
Just like with Social Security, it's actually tied to Social Security raise amounts.
Okay.
And you cannot collect a Social Security check and a railroad retirement check. It's one or the other.
What? So what if you worked 10 years and you went and worked somewhere else? You could probably do that then, right? But
Then they claim your railroad retirement money rolls back into your Social Security. I'm sure you'll never find anywhere in the government books where railroad retirement actually writes a check back to Social Security.
Right. Right. Wow.
man,
But it's the same thing for me. I am fully vested in Social Security, but I started drawing a paycheck when I was 13, and I worked under Social Security clear until I was 26. So I have 13 years in the Social Security program. I'll never draw that money.
doesn't seem right. Seems like you should get that. You should get that money.
But that's one of those, and that's part of the reason, to be honest, though, that's part of the reason the railroad industry hasn't collapsed yet, is because there's so many guys like myself that I'm 19 years into this retirement program.
Sure.
How much
And-
Go ahead. I'm sorry, David.
Oh no, it's okay.
How much have you seen any automation in your field, in your industry?
A little bit. We have got some computerized inspection stations that actually take measurements on things as the trains roll through. That's mostly pertains to the wheel sets underneath all the locomotives and cars.
Mm-hmm.
But now the one push, I don't know if you guys have heard of or not. They're pushing for one-man crews
Yes.
on these trains.
Mhm.
The government mandated what's called a positive train control system, and it's a safety related system that if the engineer doesn't interact with the system in the mandated amount of time, positive train control can take over and safely stop the train. But that's the only thing that positive train control is actually capable of doing, is just safely stopping the train. They don't have a system that's capable of safely operating a train. So I understand it's profit driven is what's driving it, but I don't really understand the push for the one-man crews. To me, it's an absolute safety hazard.
That's what I was going to
just
say.
my opinion.
Yeah. It seems like it's safety would be paramount in the rail industry. One thing I was going to ask is, because I don't know this question, is when so the train rolls into town, is the yard got to get those containers off ASAP because the train says, hey, we're pulling out? How do they time all that?
That's one of those. It's actually incredibly complicated, but our yard is set up into two separate sides. You have the receiving yard and you have the departure yard. And what we do is we bring in the entire train into the receiving yard. We take the locomotives off the train, and then we bring the locomotives in to have them fueled and inspected, and um, and then we set them up for the outbound. Well, you have yard crews who actually take the inbound cars, and they take them and we shove them over what's called a hump. It is a very large hill that has a bunch of computer operated switches, and there are 62 tracks at the bottom of that hill. They shove the train up the hill, and it is sorted via computer as to what cars go where.
Wow.
Interesting.
And down at the bottom of the hill, they pick them up and put them back together again based on where they're going to go.
Wow.
Yes, there are tight timelines sometimes. Some of that stuff is literally minutes away from being late when it shows up.
Wow. So is that same
But
philosophy that we talked about earlier doesn't weigh in with this? Like, meh, you'll get it when you get it. But on this, with this though, they're trying to meet the timelines, right?
yeah, and some of that all depends on the contract with the shipper.
Mm-hmm.
Like UPS, USPS, FedEx, they have really good contracts, and no, they will hold a train waiting on those cars. The local bakery in town that's getting 10 cars of flour, yep, you'll get it when you get it.
Right.
And it's all one of those, your money buys your priority.
Oh, sure.
All right.
Yeah. Wow.
When do you retire, David? How much time you got left?
2032, I am done.
Wow.
Don't think about that at all, David. Just give us a. David's got it right away. Bam. 2032.
Oh, you don't know when. Yeah.
Yeah.
Saturday, 23rd.
Nice. So, I mean, all in all, though, this has been through the frustrations that you've been dealing with. It's a good career for you, right? I mean,
Well, it's one of those. I do enjoy what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I never saw it going down this road.
Right.
If I had known 20 years ago what I know now, I probably would not have chosen to go down this road.
Sure.
And to be honest, I would tell any potential new hires to think long and hard before you go down this road.
Can it get any worse?
Honestly, I don't know that it could get any worse, but I don't have much hope that it'll get any better.
Right.
And I'm not sure I would want to live 30 years in the life that I'm living currently.
Yeah.
Sure. Oh, it makes sense.
Wow. How many kids you got, David?
I have one little girl.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Do you get valuable family time or?
I currently do. I normally work a midnight shift now.
Okay.
So at least on midnights, I get to see my family 7 evenings a week.
Yeah.
Nice.
I spent 3.5 years on afternoon shift with Wednesday, Thursday as my off days.
Mm-hmm.
So I did not get to see my family for about 3.5 years, essentially.
Wow. Dang.
Man, you sound like you're dedicated to what you do.
Yeah, it's more dedicated to providing a paycheck
Oh, sure.
to pay for all those, family needs and mortgage and all that good stuff.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If there's one thing you wanted the outside people like me and David to know about your industry, what would it be?
Just one thing a lot of people don't think about is this is a 24/7 operation. It never shuts down. And actually, I have had my own family told me to stop being greedy because we keep hearing about this 25% pay raise in the news. And that's one of those, the news has picked that up, I think, just it was an easy target.
Right.
This was not a 25% pay raise. It was a 21% pay raise split up over 5 years.
So why'd they call it 25?
Well, if you compound out the numbers, it comes up as 23.9%. Because you say, okay, the first year we got a 4% pay raise. And then the second year we got a 3.5% pay raise. Well, if you add up those numbers, it's only 21%. But if you say, okay, because the 3.5% actually includes the 4% from the year prior, when you're all said and done, yes, it comes up as a 23.9% pay raise total. But it's one of those, they were putting pressure on Congress to tell us that we could not strike. So we had to tell people and Congress that they're getting a 25% pay raise. There's no reason to
Right.
tell them that, yes, they could go on strike.
And then also failing to mention that you get 0 sick days or whatever.
Well, and see, that's the other thing. They told everybody that we do get sick time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you have to miss 9 days worth of work before what we call long-term illness kicks in. And the whole time you're accumulating attendance points for those 9 days, and you're putting your job at jeopardy because you have to have a doctor sign off on all their required medical forms stating that, yes, you absolutely had to be off sick. So that doesn't come into play for a doctor's appointment, a dentist appointment. I had the flu and needed to miss 3 days. None of that comes into play until you hit that 9-day mark. And that's something we never used to have to contend with. If you got the flu, you got the flu, and it was no big deal. You called them, told them, hey, I've got the flu. I'll be back in 3 days. And they said, okay. Now you rack up attendance points in their attendance program, and three sick days puts you on the verge of getting disciplinary action taken against you.
So explain that though. So say God forbid you're sick tomorrow. What's that process for you, David M?
The process for me currently is go to work sick and share it with everybody else, because that's probably where I got it from anyway.
But if you had to have it off, how do you go about that?
Well, you call in to tell them I'm sick, I'm not coming in.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, you are assessed attendance points, and the points actually are currently, it depends on what day of the week you're marking off. You're assessed a higher point level on the weekends
Mm-hmm.
than what you are during the week. Well, we all have weekdays off. So, of course, we're going to mark off on the weekend because those are work days for all of us.
Right.
That's no different than anybody else marking off on a Wednesday.
Right.
But like the company keeps a running total of how many points you have. Every 10 points gets you assessed a disciplinary action. And so you literally, if you are sick on a Saturday or Sunday, that can get you assessed into the disciplinary action plan.
Is that over a time frame, David? Is that like a year, however many points in a year, and then they accrue again for the next year or something?
No, they don't reset.
Oh,
The only thing you can do is you can go an entire quarter without missing any time, and then they remove points from your total for every quarter you go without missing time.
Oh man. Gosh. That's pretty tough. Man. Because I know you guys really wanted the sick days, right? So I mean that was crucial for
Yes.
you. So you got the
Well, and
23.9 raise. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, I was just going to say, it was one of those, we were so desperate for them, we actually asked for them unpaid.
Wow.
dang.
We didn't even want them paid. We just wanted the ability to take them off without getting punished.
Mm-hmm.
And the company said, nope, we can't do that. And it's true. They're so shorthanded, they couldn't even allow us that. And it's because they're so shorthanded is why they can't allow us that.
You ever sit back sometimes and wonder if you're working in a prison system?
It's, you say that, but that's the running joke amongst many of my coworkers.
I figured it
Is
might
that
be.
we are actually we're on a work release program. They allow us to go home occasionally.
Yep.
Oh
But,
man.
but while you're off, you can't leave early to go to the doctor. Or nothing.
Right.
You can't.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sounds pretty harsh actually to what really society does today in outside your industry, right? And It seems like a lot of companies have gotten flexible with that stuff. They don't want to spread the germs around at work. But I guess if you're the only one there, David M., who are you going to pass it to?
Yeah. Yeah. And see, and it's funny because that's the company puts out everything or puts out all this propaganda every flu season. If you're sick, stay home. But then we turn around and if you stay home, we're going to punish you for staying home.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Going to penalize you.
Yeah. And then you have to prove that you were sick or whatever, too. It's crazy.
Do they have clinics for you on site? Do you have easy access
No.
to medical?
Nope. We just use the same immediate care that anybody else would use in town.
Okay.
Mhm. Wow.
I thought maybe they would have some kind of seeing that you're restricted in that regard. It would seem like they would have some kind of medical for you to maybe nearby or on site. But if you don't have enough people there, they probably deem it not necessary. But
Yep, I was going to say the very large locations used to offer services like that when I first hired in.
Mhm.
Indianapolis did not. We didn't have enough people, but that has all gone by the wayside, cost-cutting measures.
Is the railroad industry itself, do you know, David, is it growing? Are they adding more? Is it possible to add more railroad? I mean,
good question.
Uh, no, realistically, they are not. Um, the when I first hired in, if you were a rail customer, we serviced you essentially no matter what. I mean, they didn't take non-profitable contracts, but no matter what you wanted, you were considered a valuable customer. And when I hired in, our goal was to take trucks off the road.
okay.
And now, if we don't make a certain percentage profit, you are no longer a valuable customer and they will refuse to serve you.
Wow.
And most of those customers are those trucking companies, right?
No, I wouldn't go that far,
Oh,
but
okay.
we do move a lot of intermodal freight, which is semi-truck
Mm-hmm.
trailer-based freight.
Mm-hmm.
But that is less than, I think last I saw on our statistics, that was like 28% of our business.
That makes
Oh,
sense.
all right.
We're told 20 on our side. 20.
What would be the biggest industry for the rail business?
Well, see, like when I hired in, it was coal.
Mm-hmm.
And we got smacked pretty hard when the government cracked down on coal. So they do their very best to not get too tied up in any one industry anymore.
Oh, okay.
Diversify.
Yes, absolutely. Because the railroads they took a huge monetary hit back in 2008, 2009
Right.
when the government went after the coal industry.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was a lot. I mean, Indianapolis has a lot of. Do you guys bring the coal up into the power plant here?
No,
No.
actually, the Indianapolis power plant's no longer coal fired.
Oh, it's not. When did that change?
No, it's natural gas.
When did that change?
5 years ago,
So
roughly.
explain that. So, but back then, did you guys bring the coal in?
No, that was a short line railroad. That was Indiana Southern.
Okay, all right.
Actually brought the coal in.
So it's I didn't know that it's natural gas now.
Yes,
It's probably better, I guess, wouldn't it be?
it's I'm sure it's slightly cleaner.
Yeah, it's a lot of natural gas in Indiana, I believe.
I don't know about better per se because it's one of those cost per BTU and stuff.
Right.
It cost them a lot of money to switch that plant over.
Oh, I bet.
From coal fired to natural gas fired.
They probably need less people too now, right?
But yeah, I'm sure there's a lot less handling because the natural gas is just going to come in via pipeline,
Right.
and there's no more loading or unloading or any of the coal stuff that used to go on.
Have you ever seen it, David?
I'm sure
they'd have rail cars lined up for like a mile filled with coal.
No. I mean, I make a bunch of
a
bunch of trips to West Virginia, and I still see coal trains, but I'm sure definitely not like they used to be, though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we actually we see coal trains come through our facility.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's when I hired in, we would see 4 or 5 a day.
Wow.
And now we might see 4 or 5 a week.
Mm. Interesting.
But a lot of this country's coal actually is exported.
Right.
China, India,
Yep.
Brazil.
And then we
A lot of
import
the
coal.
industrialized nations that don't deal with the same kind of environmental regulations that we do, they still love our coal because it's very energy rich at a very low cost.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
My relatives down in Kentucky still burn it in the yard.
Yep.
Well, David, we greatly appreciate you taking some time this
Yeah.
morning and chatting with us.
Good stuff.
Would you like maybe further down the road, would you be interested in coming back on, and it will, maybe before the next contract kind of comes up? And
Oh, sure.
if you don't mind. Yeah, you've been awesome to have on today. It's kind of, I know it's an eye opening for both Tony and I to kind of get a different perspective.
Learned a lot, man.
Very much so. Yes.
I think you're our new railroad go-to guy.
Yeah. Would you mind if we called you with other railroad issues too, or questions that we may have?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, David, you've been an awesome guest this morning. We thank you very much, and tell Bill thanks for hooking us up with you. It's been awesome.
Certainly.
All right, you take care and happy holidays to you, David.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, and God bless you, and hope your family has the best Christmas ever.
Same to you guys.
All right, take care.
Bye.
All right, bye. All right, man. That was I love that. That was
David M. That was awesome.
Full of knowledge, man. Nice.
Yeah. And I kind of felt like I was nerding out a little bit too with like asking questions. I mean, it's all new to. I mean, you see a train and like, well, it's a train.
Where the hell did put the diesel at in the train? I didn't know.
I had no clue.
I mean, I don't see a tanker riding behind it.
My dumbass just assumed there was still coal-fired engines.
I thought it was.
What do you mean that's
electric?
not a steam-powered locomotive?
Yeah, that's amazing.
And it's definitely 5,000 gallons of diesel fuel. I'm like you. Where are they putting that?
Yeah, where's it at? Man, it's amazing. But
it makes me nerd out about that stuff a little bit more.
I know.
Yeah.
All right, so Baby B, I got a topic for us.
All right, let's hit it.
Trucking in 2023. You and I have talked about this, and David's obviously on the shipping side, and I'm on the carrier side. So David has said for a while that maybe you guys are just getting back to normal as the trucking industry has set record years during the profit years during the COVID, and then now it looks like the numbers have reset back to 2018, 2019 numbers. There's a good article here from Jason Cannon, who is the CCJ chief editor, is where I pulled this from. And just a quick couple topics here. This article research was done by Jason Miller, Associate Professor of Supply Chain Management at Michigan State, and ACT Research President, Senior Analyst Kenny Vyeth, discussed the market forces, business conditions, and supply chain issues that will impact carrier operations in 2023. They say there's a likelihood there might be a economic recession in 2023 is high, if not near certainty. It doesn't necessarily mean widespread economic ruin lies just beyond the horizon. And while it may be the top economic concern, Miller said looming recession is not necessarily inevitable. The strongest predictor is how the U.S. labor market behaves. And they're not seeing any sign right now that the labor market is behaving in a negative way, meaning we just don't have any bodies to fill these jobs. So they're not seeing that. One thing they did say is they've seen credit card debt increase like it did in 2019, but it's not past that. We are actually below pre-COVID levels, which they say it's hard to believe. The impact on freight makes up about 57% of origin tonnage miles in trucking, is up 4.6%, near its 2018 peak. Off the 2020 COVID year numbers, the balance is up 2% year over year and up 10% from 2019. Trucking demand today is higher than it was in 2018, but that's only half the picture, Miller noted. Payrolls are up substantially too. We started the earliest, something we talked about. It looks like the retail industry bought their Christmas stuff early. And then, and here's the key I wanted to hit on. Trucking profitability at near record levels has slid each year in the last 2 quarters. Net income for the largest publicly traded carriers is expected to be up 15% versus last, with the group generating $3.5 billion in class cash. Veith expects a drop. The biggest year-over-year drop, he says, will happen in 2023. It'll be a 27% drop. So it looks like we're holding strong, but maybe they expect some dropping going off and spot rates like you've talked about before to get back aggressive for the shipper side in 2023. David B., what do you think about all that?
Yeah, I mean, so listening in on that, it sounds like, I don't know. I mean, we've talked about it on the podcast often that we're just maybe getting back to pre-COVID levels,
Right.
and carrier profitability down 27%. I don't, man. I mean, I hope that doesn't happen, but I've not seen any slowdown, and I'm sure there is slowdown in the industry, but I'm just not seeing it. Starting to see some rates actually trickle back up. I mean, with fuel coming down, and there are some rates going back up. There's still some. There are still some solid rate lanes out there regionally, but yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to read or listen to that and hear. I in my head, I just think we're getting back to some sort of normalcy,
Yeah, I think you're right.
whatever normalcy is anymore. But it feels like just the pre-pandemic normalcy. But I think the almost every state has a unemployment rate right around 3%, which is a solid labor market.
Right.
So, I mean, if we, like you said in that article, if we just maintain a good solid labor market, I hope we're going to be okay.
Yeah. And they said the driver balance seems to be in the carrier side right now as far as being able to get drivers.
Okay.
That number, I didn't really understand how they derived that number, but if they're between 44 and 50, they believe it's.
Are you
it's
guys hiring?
Yeah, we've actually, we're still hiring. They've been told not to stop.
Do you guys have
needs.
do you guys have a doctor driver program?
Yeah. Yes, we do. Yep.
Mhm.
They've got a box truck program too for the residential liftgate stuff. So
Right.
yeah, but I mean, I talked to my terminal I work out of, and they said that they've had drivers, so which is good because I mean that was the big problem. But
Is your turnover high?
I think it slowed down.
Mm.
It slowed down significantly. I think so. But there used to be the industry was suffering some turnover issues, but not. I think that slowed down a little bit. I think the union carriers probably had a lesser turnover rate than the non-union.
Like I always say, in my 30 plus years of doing this, the turnover rate's always been high
It has been,
the
yeah,
entire time.
yeah,
There's always been an issue with getting labor
yeah,
or getting people that actually want to work.
right,
Like David was saying, it may have sucked working second shift for a while, but now he's on a shift that he kind of likes, and sometimes
right.
you just have to deal with the crappy shift or whatever. But you can, you keep at it and keep going.
Yep.
Hmm.
I think it's yeah. I mean I think one thing that most that hurts trucking is when you head into the cold winter months. If you're in a Midwest or northern state, if the dock's not adequately heated or something, I think it messes with our turnover. Turnover in the industry might jump a little bit in the winter months, but industry probably needs to do a better job of keeping the dock a little warm. Although when I was on the dock, it was Carhartts and a hat and gloves, and it was deal with it or walk out the door.
Yeah, when I worked the dock or whatever, like you say, you kind of come in dressed in the Carhartts and to be whatever, but by afternoon I had my shorts on and was going, and the guys that were standing around, it's cold. I'm like, work harder,
Mm.
to warm you up.
Yeah, if you don't sweat and get the blood rolling, you're going to be cold.
Freaking moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, looks like you holding your ground on the maybe it's just getting back to normal thing. Looks like from these experts, it looks like that philosophy was right.
The truck traffic is, I mean, I try to pay attention to what's going on, and it just seems like everybody's just still pretty busy, which
Yeah.
is a good thing.
Yeah. No doubt. I mean,
especially with the holiday
Yeah.
season coming up.
right. We'll see how 2023 rolls in. I mean, it's always, I think, what is it, an election year, heading into an election year, right? So
Mhm.
it'd probably be pretty wacky. But
We're starting to see some rates come down on the LTL side because the fuel's dropped. a
Yeah,
little
that's
bit. I don't
great.
see how diesel's still up over $5.
I don't either. It's, I
Yeah,
don't know.
I
You have to
heard-
do less to it.
I heard on the news yesterday that there were a few stations in Indianapolis with gas under $3 a gallon.
Oh, wow.
So, but still, at gas at $2 a gallon, they're still making billions of dollars in profit.
Oh, yeah, there's
I
no
have
doubt.
no
Yeah.
sympathy for the
Yeah.
industry.
I don't either.
Even though I work in it, I don't have any sympathy for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a niche that a wealthy niche, a necessity, and yeah, it hurts us when it gets this high. You get less consumer spending and traveling, and
Why is that a commodity that's traded? I don't understand why oil is just manipulated so much
Right.
based on the markets and stuff.
yeah,
I heard there was a spill yesterday.
I didn't hear
think,
about it.
I don't remember where it was. I want to say it was in Kansas or somewhere.
And now the rates are going to be jacked up. You think? Oh, they're just
there's
Yeah.
a spill.
put the rates up. Oh, we're out. We're
Mhm.
down. And also the running out of diesel things seem to go by the wayside here. Nobody's really worried about it.
Yeah.
It looks like.
Yeah, well, like we've talked, if the supposed tonnage is down, then why is there a shortage of diesel? Well, whatever. I don't know.
Right. That's a good point.
You know,
You got random thoughts today?
today I don't
No? Fine.
know.
So
I don't know. No, not that I can think of. I think coming over, I did listen to. Oh, now it's escaping me. I did listen to something on NPR coming over. That was a good story. I thought I would share, but maybe it must not have been that good because I don't remember. Yeah,
Yeah, so we
Oh.
got the holidays coming up here.
got the ugly sweater party
Ugly
next,
sweater, yeah.
next Friday from 4 to 7 at the Great Divide. If you're available, please stop by, say hello.
Come on by.
Yeah, the holidays coming up. What to me, one of the most underrated Christmas albums is like there's like a Charlie Brown Christmas little album. I think it's always good little music.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so you need to do this.
Okay.
I love Charlie Brown. Growing up was awesome.
Yeah.
Apple TV has redone Charlie Brown. Did you know that?
No.
You need to watch it.
Okay.
Weird.
Is it only Apple TV? Because I don't.
It's
think
on.
we have
Oh yeah,
Apple TV.
it's only Apple. I had somebody in the family bought a new iPhone. Got a free 3 months of Apple TV.
So when you say they redid it, did they do it like with people, or what are you saying? Or did they just redid the animation?
Still kind of looks like them. Just odd. It's just
Okay.
odd. It's
Like Pigpen and everybody.
yeah, why they gotta take some classic freaking thing and just destroy it? I
Oh,
mean,
that's-
it's like put it into some modern element. How about humans? As you move through time, you adapt and create your own storyline. Don't go back and tap into the historical storylines to create I can't stand them. Sometimes the sequels or the redones are good, or however you want to call that. The remakes can be good. I'm not a big fan of. I mean, just think of somebody remade the movie Hoosiers.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Or the movie you were in, David B., the big movie star.
Blue chips. I
yeah,
don't think I was
right.
any movie star. I was an extra in the crowd as the camera was panning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I kind of forgot about that. That was fun.
So Ann had that, and the reason I brought it up is I thought, wow, I'll watch this episode. So I turn it on, and I'm just like, what the hell's this?
Right.
What? Oh.
Do you have cable TV? Or-
No.
No, we don't.
No. YouTube is my cable TV.
So there's it's funny you say that. There's some addicting things on there to watch. Like a lot of the drivers that come on the show, they have YouTube channels, and we watch those, like Jorge Navarro and Jacinda.
Yeah.
And there's a few others, and those are, I like little short things to kind of watch those. Those are fun.
You can get lost in YouTube for a while. I mean, like your shows that you watch, I mean, you told me about that camper guy.
Yeah.
I mean, you could watch that stuff all night long.
Yeah. What's his name? Yeah.
Now you can win a Mercedes van.
Boy, I haven't watched it that. I haven't watched it that late. What is that?
And then you got Ford come out with the camper van. Have you seen this?
No.
That's based off this guy's show. Ford's got a new camper van. It's just like his
like
van.
a Sprinter van type of thing.
Yeah, it's a little bit bigger, and they've got like cupboards in it and stuff. It's designed for camping.
Right.
Pretty cool. I don't know how much it is though, David, but
yeah, like when you watch something like that, trying to hope that the name of the video comes to me, but it's not.
You want me to look it up?
Yeah, if you don't mind. This is a gentleman that kind of had like employment. He worked his years of employment and then made his own van to live out of, and travels all over Western Canada and some other places, just to the most beautiful and scenic mountain areas. And he'll climb. He's done X amount of climbing to the peaks of X amount of mountains, and it is just, it's, you know, and he'll take his drone up and shoot the video, and he'll talk about it. Foresty Forest. That's it. That's the name of the video, Foresty Forest. And it's, I love it. Just kind of like, to your point, Tony, you just kind of get taken away or whatever. You get lost in watching those, and they're little 20-minute videos or whatever, and the next thing you know, you're 3 hours into them. You know.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean,
and he built a little cabin somewhere, right?
Yeah, I mean,
somewhere in Western Canada. He built a little cabin.
Yeah, it looks
he has
like
a dog now.
Yeah. Oh, he does.
Mm-hmm.
There he is.
Yeah, a little bitty. It looks like a terrier. I think. I'm not familiar with what type of dog is what the name of a dog is, but it looks like a little rat terrier or something like that. But it's definitely.
Looks like he came down to Utah.
Yeah, he does come to the States. He ought to do a like a Q&A somewhere. He would do really well with those, because he has how many, at least 1.1 followers? How many?
Yeah, he's got a lot of followers. Yeah, here's his dog right here. He's cooking on the stove.
One of these days I need to put together a Rocco exposed video. I think a lot of people believe she's just a kind and gentle,
cute
calm
little dog.
Doggy, but she totally lives up to the reputation of Jack Russell Terriers being completely.
So what we're listening to is Foresty Forest. You can catch him on YouTube, and
here's a drone.
He just does a lot of travel stuff and climbs up mountains, and it kind of makes you a little envious of him.
Yeah,
where he's able to get away and not have the day-to-day issues like what we have.
Right.
No, I'm gonna live in my van.
It's good stuff, man.
Yeah, and there's other videos. There's a cooking show on YouTube, Smoking and Grilling with AB. I don't care what that guy's making. Every single video I'm clicking like, because it looks phenomenal. Whatever the food is, like, man, this guy, and he's really related to his audience. He just does an excellent job. Makes things.
Hey,
simple.
check this out. I already know why you're here, right? You done seen that thumbnail. You guys your mouth started wiring, and you was like, this is fire. Look, today I'm just getting ready to show you just how easy it is to make the creamiest broccoli cheddar soup.
I've seen him before. Yeah.
Let's get it.
Yeah.
Okay, so look, you can see all of the ingredients that we have.
That
right?
looks entertaining.
Don't forget, if you've been following me, and then if you're new, right?
Nice. Smoking and Grilling with AB.
I love those. Those are good videos. He does some with his nephew, too. He has a nephew that he cooks with. I don't remember his nephew's name. But yeah, those are
2.1 million subscribers.
See, when Tony and I were growing up, there was only 3 channels to watch.
Yeah.
And now YouTube's about the only thing I watch or whatever.
And you can catch like if you watch ABC, CBS News, whatever, and you don't don't want to, well, you can go catch a recap on YouTube of it.
That's how I watch the Pacer.
That's how I do.
I watch the Pacer games. Like the next morning, get up, a 9-minute video of the full game.
Right.
Like,
NFL does that
I caught
too.
it all.
Yep. Shows you all the key highlights and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Definitely. College football. Jeff Brom left Purdue.
Yeah. So he's going. Where did he go?
Louisville.
I mean, is that a step
That's where
up?
he's from.
Oh, it is?
I don't know that it's a step up.
Yeah, I was thinking about. I didn't know he was from there. I was thinking, why would you leave Purdue, a Big Ten school, to go there?
Mm-hmm.
Man, it's no slouch. Don't get me wrong. Louisville's no slouch, but Purdue's no slouch either. So maybe it's maybe it's this. Maybe they've come to the Big Ten West or whatever. I mean, they next year it's USC and UCLA. I mean, our boys Northwestern don't stand a chance, man.
No, but they could. To me, Northwestern should be my opinion, the Northwestern should be the Duke of the Big Ten, especially in basketball.
Right. They should be.
There's no reason why they can't.
No.
It's just those academic standards. Yeah. You know, like the football team, it was the highest. This year they had the number one, whatever, test score. Well, of course it did. You know, you're Northwestern. So I kind of admire schools like that, though. You know, like people will be like, we need to get rid of Northwestern. No. You know, they're one of the founding Big Ten members.
Oh, yeah. They're one of the originals. And, I mean, it would be nonsense for the Big Ten to dump them. I mean, you're talking like, I think I looked it up. They were like top 10 university in the nation.
Yeah, they were like number 3 or 4.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Matt and I went up there to watch a football game. Seems like about 10 years ago. I don't know how, but we had such a great time. Not our Matt, different Matt. Not Matty G, different Matt. But Tony and I both know, and that was a good time.
Yeah. I grew up not too far from there. Unfortunately, the intellectual capitalism that was in that university never got to me. You know, it was like very, very, very tough school to get into, man. Very, very, very.
That's the one thing in life that I wish I was better. I wish I was a little bit, or a lot bit more well-read. I'm not well-read. I can't, like you said, intellectually, I can't.
That's how we got the Ship's Gonna Happen podcast, right?
Right. Well, touche.
We fell right into it.
Touche. Yeah. I mean, if we're just gonna spitball and drink beers and stuff, I'm good with that. Yeah. But like to figure out the square root of pi r squared, I'd be like,
I'd like to see some. You know, I'd like to see some of these academics like that try to live our life. You know, try to hang with us. I always thought like,
yeah, I'm sure that they'd be lining up.
Yeah, right, exactly. Like I always thought like, well, you know, the incredible golfers that they are. I never had gone to a PGA tournament, and I went to one and I saw how they warmed up. And then I thought, well, that's the average golfer doesn't warm up like that. That's so stupid. We just go out and start swinging the club. They actually have a big warm-up thing. But then I thought, well, you know, I'd like to see Tiger one day be slouching drunk on the golf course, swinging the club like any one of us would be.
Yep.
His score would be lower.
Every other word being the F word.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And, you know, blaming everything but yourself.
Don't worry about getting that ball. Just grab another one.
Yeah, that's another one.
Why are we going to walk in the weeds?
They're just $18 a dozen or whatever. You know.
Didn't like that shot. Just drop another one.
Go to Dollar General and get some more balls after this. Or Walmart or whatever. That's my favorite store. If I'm in a hurry, that's where I'm going. Yeah. Because they actually have a cashier.
Yeah.
And it's in out. Just right. If it's like one and done thing, oh man, I need salt.
They started the self-service ones now. Have you seen them? They started them. Yeah.
Dollar General,
where you just self-scan. Yeah. Yeah, I'm surprised they did that. But
Timmy D sent us a text mid-show today that says Walmart's going to start making their customers unload their semi-trailers, just like, you know, just you have to cash yourself out, and they're just going to make you get it off the trailer.
Really?
It's a joke. It's a meme.
I was like, gosh.
Yeah.
Timmy D.
I do like the Walmart has like a Walmart Plus thing where you pay a yearly subscription or yearly fee for lower gas and also for the ability to check yourself out in the store. Like bloop, this and that. Why do you have to pay for convenience? Just paying for convenience doesn't make sense.
No, I
don't understand.
If it's saving the money, right? That's always got me about capitalism. It's like if it's saving, they always do these things that, we'll save you time, save you money, but then it costs more. It's like, how in the hell does that happen? What were you going to say? I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I don't remember. Something about, saving money by not, if they would just allow, like, without having to pay extra money to do it, I would bring in like a couple of like laundry baskets and just like bloop, bloop into certain laundry. And that's why you're only taking 2 laundry baskets in the house after you when you're done, instead of 50 bags.
Right.
Because, I would do it, but I don't want to pay to do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or pay extra. Doesn't make sense. I mean, they have so many people standing around not doing nothing anyway.
Right. Exactly. I know. Man.
The end of the year.
What do you got going? You got Marion anything today?
I got nothing today. Tracy and Hannah are at Beef and Boards for a 1 p.m. something. I don't know what they're going to see.
Oh, going to see a movie?
No, Beef and Boards is a play.
Oh.
Up on Michigan Road.
Oh, wow.
North there. It's like lunch and play for, I don't know how much tickets are. They go all the time. I've been a couple times. They go all the time. I got nothing. I got nothing today. Which is, I'm supposed to be, I worked today. But I had to go in and unload it. So I'm supposed to be off on Monday.
Supposed to be off?
Supposed to. But I'm trying to use days before the end of the year. It's just not working.
They take them away if you don't use them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Use them or lose them. But the old job I had for 26 years, we could roll them. Oh, yeah. They'll have those days. So you would earn them at this wage, and they would pay you out at this wage.
Wow.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
you could sell them back if you wanted.
When I left the company, they
wrote
a check for whatever that.
Here, Dave's your 1,000 days off.
It was quite a bit. I bet it was. I don't remember how much I had to roll. 15 weeks, probably.
Wow. Mm-hmm. That's amazing.
Yeah. If not, I don't remember.
The hammer, David.
Yeah.
15 weeks. What
about you? What do you got going on the rest of the weekend?
Oh, man. I've got
no yard mowing.
Yeah. No, I've got basically I think we got everything done with the Christmas stuff. So
are the kids old enough where they just get money?
Yeah, I think we give them a present and then or money or something like that. If they want something, they'll tell us. We got mine and Ann's anniversary coming up.
Oh,
so I was going to go today and get her a gift.
How many years?
27.
What the fuck?
God.
What the fuck?
I think it's
Tony has CRS disease.
I think it's days.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's close enough.
Mm.
I think it's 26, 27.
I'll be like, hey, Tony, you want to meet up on this day and we can talk about show stuff and go to lunch? And then the day before, he'll be like, Ian just reminded me of our anniversary.
Oh, man.
The best husband in the world.
Yeah. I mean, it's yeah. I need to be better at that. I've tried to get better at that. It's December 14th, which I knew that. Yours is the 15th.
October.
Oh, yeah.
December the...
Jake's birthday. That's right.
3, 7... What day is the... So it's a Wednesday?
Yeah. Yes.
So, all right. So does that mean you can't make it to the ugly sweater? Or are you going to, instead of doing Wednesday, are you going to do Friday? Or... Either way is fine.
I don't know. We were just start talking about it.
There was a dude
Might
from
do dinner or something.
There was a dude from St. Elmo in the Great Divide yesterday. He said they had 1,000 reservations for last night. Only. Could you imagine? Kind of.
That's big money.
Yeah. And then you're pushing people to flip their table.
You want them out? Yeah. Right.
Here's where
Yeah. I've been in that situation before.
I've been in that situation there before.
Really?
Pissed me off.
Yeah.
We'll get out of here when we get out of here.
Well, I think
1,000 reservations. I'm sure on a regular Friday, I bet they have 600.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Wow.
Don't know.
It's crazy.
And the dude was like, "You want a table?" And I'm like, "I do, but no, I'm not gonna."
Hey, you done? Okay.
No, but no, he meant he would be like, "I'll get you a table."
Oh.
You don't need it.
Gotcha.
That
Yeah.
wasn't. They're booked up through the end of the year.
I
Solid book.
Staple in the city, man.
So yeah, things must not be that bad because I bet it's every bit of 200 bills to eat there.
Oh,
for two
yeah.
people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's expensive. And honestly, it's pretty good, but I think there's better in the city area. Peterson's, Morton's is good. St. Elmo's is an experience, though. There's no doubt about it. You know, the bar we went into the side that one time, I enjoyed that more than probably being in the restaurant.
Completely.
Yeah.
Completely. The
Thought that
bad
was
thing,
cool.
the thing that I don't understand with that is that they only have a bar menu. So
Yeah, that's
you
true.
can't get
Yeah.
that 16-ounce ribeye, which I don't understand. You
Right.
can't get that at the bar. I agree with you. That was perfect.
Yeah, the whole bar setup's nice, classy.
That was my 50th birthday
Yeah.
when we did it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a good time.
it was. We went to Hyde Park last Friday, and it didn't measure up to. It was close. The one thing that they did right, or a couple things that they did right, were that they didn't push you. Like at St. Elmo's, you kind of feel like, come on.
Yeah.
But at Hyde Park, they didn't push you at all to flip that table, and it definitely wasn't St. Elmo, but it was okay. It was all right. I mean,
Yeah.
I would go back. It's tough to beat,
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That shrimp cocktail. I mean, once it hits your palate, and it's gone quick. When it hits you, it just like clears out your sinus, and then it goes away.
Oh yeah. It's good.
It doesn't hang like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't burn you coming out the backside either.
No, I know. Right. Yeah. It's good stuff. I like it. The probably remember there's a meat deli place in New Pal. I think they sell it. I think they bottled it now.
Yeah, they do it.
Yeah.
Kroger,
Oh, Kroger does it too?
Walmart, I think.
Okay.
has it. Something about it though. It's not the same.
Yeah. Because it probably makes
It's not
it
the same
fresh
as
there.
the fresh.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I bet those waiters are $6K a year. I bet they're in the six
Oh, yeah.
figures.
Oh, yeah. I think so. Yeah, because I know one of the places I like to go is Peterson's, and I know that it's very hard to be a waiter there or a waitress. They don't just hire anyone, and I think that's what they make there. They
Have you ever been to Ocean Air?
yeah,
I have to go there.
yeah, maybe we should do that.
Would they let you do that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know what the price is there, but it really.
I think it's St. Elmo is.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
It's seafood, and there's.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've been there.
It's not Long John Silver prices,
I can't get a fish basket and hush puppies.
right?
Let me get the fish and more number 2.
Yeah. They bring the plate out. You're like, how come there's no hush puppies?
Yeah, where's my hush puppies? What do you mean it's extra for hush puppies?
Yeah. Are those little crinkle things? What were those called? Like the crunchy things that were around the fish. Remember?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Whatever the
I don't know what it's
those
called.
little bitty crunchy things.
I just used to douse them in salt and vinegar, or vinegar, whatever that malt vinegar, whatever that was.
Yep.
That's awesome. Good stuff, man.
Yeah, good show. Thanks for David M for coming on. Thanks for Hall of Famer Bill P for hooking us up with him.
Yeah, Bill P. Number 2.
Number 2.
Number two.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good hook. That was a great, man. I learned a lot on that.
Yeah, I did. I'm still kind of. I bet we could have him back for another full show.
Oh yeah,
just intrigued.
Episode 89. We're at 89
because nothing moves without the railroad. I mean, or not much moves without the railroad. I would have thought that the trucking companies utilize that more, but
the rail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it's some may use it more. I think the average is like 20%, 18 to 25.
28.
Yeah. But no, it was good, man. Look forward to the next show, David B.
Yeah, I'm working on some guests. Nobody locked down just yet, but I have a couple that I know I could get. So, yeah.
Well, heck, brother.
Yeah, thank you, Tony, for having us in.
No, yeah, brother. It's always good to have you.
Miss you today, Timmy D.
Timmy D. He's out on his last deer hunt of the season. We'll have to, surprised we didn't get a phone call in.
Right.
Hey, just got it.
Yeah.
But he'll be back soon, right?
So a muzzle loader, is that, I'm naive.
Man, that's old school.
I'm naive when it comes to guns. Is that something that you like put the powder in?
Yeah, that's like old school. That's like, that's like,
tamp it down.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, with a little ball, a lead, that's what the bullet is, I believe. Yeah. So it's that's old school. I wonder how accurate these are. I mean, you can have straight shot with that. I would think it would be more affected by wind and things like that, other than a.
So you've never shot one?
No, I have. My dad had a hand one. That was from. It was a replica, one from the Civil War, but what they used in the Civil War, and he gave it to me. I haven't used it in that capacity since he gave it to me, but it actually is. You got to put the flint in there or the whatever and pack it in there, the powder. Then the ball goes in there, and then it does the smoke thing. Yeah, it smells really good actually, the smoke part of it. But it's. I would think that would be hard to hunt because it's so hard to reload. Mm-hmm. Like you could miss a deer. I don't hunt, but you could probably miss a deer, I would imagine, and then on a normal rifle reload and get it. But on a muzzle loader, probably would think you'd have to. And they only hold one at a time, I think, so you'd have to reload it. Timmy D's probably so good at it, it might not elude him. So, but anyway.
All right.
Good luck, Timmy D.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for listening. Follow us on YouTube or whatever platform. Smash that like button, click subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and tell us how you think we're doing. So good to have everybody listening today on the Ship's Gonna Happen podcast.
All right, David B. Have a good weekend, brother.